People are analyzing the most recent episode of The Acolyte, the new flop from the Star Wars universe, and they're noticing that there seems to be a strange resemblance between the show's villain, Khmer, or Darth Gimpmask, or Darth Edgelord, whatever you call him,
I prefer
and
Darth
Jordan
Edgelord.
Peterson. And this would not be the first time that Jordan Peterson inspired TV and movie villains, but here's why people think so. So this seems to have ripped a direct quote from a Jordan Peterson interview in this moment at the end of the episode when Khmer says, "Even in the revelation of our triumph, we see the depth of our despair." This is reminiscent of Jordan Peterson's interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast, where he said, "Wherever I go in the world, people come up to me and they often have a pretty rough story to relate. It's an awful thing because you see, even in the revelation of their triumph, the initial depth of their despair." Is there a connection here? It seems that way. And I noticed that line and I actually made fun of that line.
Yeah, because it seemed out of place. It didn't make any sense. It was like, why is he randomly monologuing now?
Yeah, it did seem out of place, but now knowing that it was directly ripped from a Jordan Peterson interview, it makes more sense that they added it in there.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that was intentional. Don't you? I mean, is that a reach? It's word for word.
The worst part about it is the placement. It's like, look, if you wanna rip from the headlines and put something like that in there, it has to at least feel like it fits in there. But here's the problem. He was saying this to an unconscious person, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Wasn't he saying this to like unconscious May or unconscious Osha?
Okay.
It's like, why are you monologuing to? I could be misremembering. It's been a week since we saw that, and I'm still having PTSD flashbacks, even though it was the best episode of the 5 so far. You know, not that that's a high bar, but it's really weird because what it is like, it's kind of like clip culture, meaning that they've never actually listened in good faith to anything Jordan Peterson has ever said. Mm-hmm. They might be able to take clips out of context, certainly, but he's the type of person where unless you're amenable to what he's telling you to begin with, even in clips, he probably annoys them. Yeah.
I think that Jordan Peterson lives in Leslie Headland's brain rent-free.
Also, I want to point out that Jordan Peterson is not shadow banned on YouTube. Holy crap, because I was like, I had to go re-look up this speech because I remember this is one of his old ones. This is one that was like recorded on a phone when he was in like when he was still teaching, right? And I went and I looked it up and I watched it, and after I watched it, every video recommendation I got on YouTube was to more Jordan Peterson.
So he said this line in multiple different
it was about I'm sorry.
Because this interview he did was actually more recent.
No, what I'm talking about was the stuff about 12 Rules for Life and the stuff that was related to the Red Skull things. But I went and looked it up, and holy crap, is he not shadow banned?
Yeah, so I guess that Leslie Headland decided to add that line in there as an Easter egg and see who would pick up on it. Yeah. And clearly people did. I just don't understand why they see him as such a cartoonish villain.
The idea of like a strong voice that speaks to like a lost generation of men freak them out?
Yes. I mean, even though Khmer's character is nothing like Jordan Peterson
at all,
they still see him as an agent of chaos.
It's also weird because he's Canadian. It's like, if you're going to make a caricature of a villain, are you going to really make it like a Canadian professor?
It's not obvious.
It's not obvious.
It wasn't immediately obvious. But you also reminded me of this cartoon, a comic book run of Red Skull that also explicitly was inspired by Jordan Peterson in Marvel. And they show this still from that run where Red Skull is on the computer screen here, shilling his 10 rules for life with the words chaos and order on the screen.
In Captain America Volume 9, number 28, which was released by Marvel Comics on March 31st, this was a couple years ago, I believe. Yeah,
it was back in 2021.
Red Skull preaches his 10 rules for life, as well as chaos and order, and the feminist trap. This appears to reference Peterson's self-help book, 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos, released in 2018, and Peterson's contention that that chaos is represented by the feminine. So that was the speech that the speech that I went and looked back up. It was one of his classroom lectures. There's a thrilling side story in this where he keeps picking up his water bottle and doesn't drink from it. And there's a whole comment section of people talking about how he keeps not drinking from his water bottle because every time he speaks, he looks like he's about to drink his water bottle, but he's flooded with new ideas and keeps talking. That was the more interesting side story.
He's easy to meme. For sure. But I know for a fact that Ta-Nehisi Coates and Leslie Headland and Olivia Wilde have not read a single bit of Jordan Peterson's work and have not listened to a full lecture from him at all, so that they can continue to discredit him.
I mean, you don't even need to listen to a full lecture. Even if you just go and listen through to his clips, it's unbelievably inoffensive and willing to be critical of all sides and comes from a place of intellectual curiosity more than anything else.
Yeah, and like this guy literally is known for like bursting into tears many times in public formats, like showing extreme amounts of vulnerability, which does make him very unique. He's far from like an uber-menschian like strongman figure, which is why it's even more confusing that they see him as the like a leader for the incel community.
I guess the only other option here would be is if Darth Gimp Mask started talking about brokies and made it an Andrew Tate speech. I guess
maybe Andrew Tate has like taken the place of that, but yeah, Olivia Wilde confirmed that in her film in 2022, Don't Worry Darling, the character Frank, played by Chris Pine, was in fact inspired by Jordan Peterson, who is described as, quote, a pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community.
Meaning that there's anyone out there that speaks to men.
Yes, she described Jordan Peterson as someone who legitimizes certain aspects of the incel movement, which is a term used to describe individuals who believe they are entitled to sex from women. So here's the thing. I've seen Jordan Peterson talk about incels before. And incels hate Jordan Peterson. That's the crazy thing.
He's like, it's probably your fault.
Like, he literally said, like, if all the women are rejecting you, it's not the women.
I wonder if
you.
It's like he would say the same thing about Taylor Swift, right? Like, you know, if there's 12 guys and you keep, you know, having problems, maybe you're the problem.
Right. I don't think that he's really considered a hero to the incel community, but clearly he has inspired a lot of Hollywood creatives, and they're making him into the villain. You know what it is?
It's him and it's Elon Musk. They love to broad brush and paint weird character bad guys that are based on even worse was like the Jurassic World one that was based on
Elon.
No, it wasn't.
Right?
It wasn't
Jeff
Bezos. It was the other one. It was the dude from Apple, and it wasn't
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook. I was like, what? Who bases a bad guy on Tim Cook?
Oh, okay. I thought that they said it was based on Elon.
Or maybe it was. Maybe it was, and I was like...
And you said it was more like Tim Cook.
Yeah, maybe that was the joke.
Yeah, they based the Jurassic World Dominion villain on Elon.
It's like they just go out of their way to find some dude who is successful in business and claim business bad.
It's truly a derangement syndrome.
Like, you know what I want? I want one of these people to like... This is the best version of this. We're waiting for the next Marvel movie, and the bad guy comes out. They're like, yeah, he's based on Bob Iger. and they do a whole bad guy based on Bob Iger.
It's not believable. Like, all of these people are not as intimidating or malicious or malevolent as you think.
Well, it's
Elon Musk is literally an internet funny man who posts boomer Facebook memes.
But it's the thing is they're not getting the content straight from the source. It's filtered through the lens of the people whose articles they read.
So they took offense to the idea that that Jordan Peterson says chaos is embodied by the feminine,
which they take to mean women, which is not what that means.
No.
The feminine exists in everyone to some extent. In everything to some extent.
You know, he has takes on climate change that I'm sure offend them as well. But, you know, I think Jordan Peterson is fundamentally lovable because he is the only, or one of the only public figures that is able to show vulnerability instead of snark these days.
Hey, it's me, and HD says, nope, the guy literally looked like Tim Cook.
Well, he looked like Tim Cook, but I think they publicly said that he was based on Elon Musk.
That actor's name is Campbell Scott. I love that guy. Watch him in Royal Pains if you haven't.
Still, not easy to buy that idea either.
Yes. And the idea of incels is also a fantastic boogeyman for them too, because it's easy to turn into a caricature.
That was in the Batman too.
Yes.
The 4chan villain.
With 500 followers.
500 followers on 4chan.
Okay, here's the thing, guys. Everyone knows that one of the hardest things to do when you monetize online is to like cross-platform, right? So imagine a world where it's like, okay, you've got 100,000 followers on Instagram. You get maybe 1,000 of those to follow you to another platform. Imagine you have 500 followers and somehow got 15 people to commit crimes for you. The hit rate on that is incredible.
Yeah.
There's a big one there from Pat the Plumber.
He said, "I'm late. Happy birthday, Bartholomew."
Thank you. I'm okay with Bartholomew.
You'll respond to Bartholomew.
I'm okay with that one. But seriously, that's a huge hit rate to take 503 people who see you on some tour, like on some tour, and like then, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
People were very mad about that. Can't wait for the Joker too. Or for
the Batman.
Oh, and even then we've got the Joker. We've got the Joker 2 coming out too. The Joker was also said to be an incel fantasy. So they love this boogeyman.
Right. They can't get enough of it. And I truly will never understand why.
Doesn't make any sense. But again, like I think some of it is also like as you get older, you just are shocked by the stories that become like maybe stories told 20 years ago were just as inaccurately told as the ones are today. But I'd like to think that back then, before the internet, research was harder to do. Well, so you did more work to actually write stories.
It's just not creative. Like, correct. If you're trying to come up with a truly fear-inspiring villain that is, convincing on screen, don't base it off of a person that you found out about on the internet through hit pieces. Like, if you're just not a good writer.
Here's a good rule of thumb. If you can tweet mean things to the person who you've based your evil villain on and nothing happens to you, he's probably not that evil.
But I would love to hear Leslie Headland confirm whether or not this was intentional, because it definitely seems like it was.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.